they managed to bring that same fire to this game today. But it looks like we are into picks and bans, Jake.
Indeed, we are, and as we are in that current World's Meta 9.19. I know things are a bit spicier as we are preparing for our 9.20, which is coming up very soon, but we're not patched to that, which means we still have Aatrox, Akali, these strong picks, despite some of their nerfs. We still have Karma showing up. She did get nerfed a little bit on the AP ratio, but everyone loves to flex pick her around. I'm a little bit surprised about the Ahri pick. She is kind of more niche, a bit of more target banning, I suppose, coming out against Cha-Hai. I'm still not seeing those heavyweight champions, which means both these teams are hoping to maybe pick them up for their team.
Perhaps, or maybe we've got some one tricks on both sides, or people who'd like to main things that are a little outside the current meta. Well, I'll be very excited to see what that's going to be as the second ban comes out. It is a Jax. Perhaps we've got somebody wanting to play Yorick in the top side. Still a fairly strong champion. Hasn't really been nerfed back substantially. Just the Jax counter pick is very, very strong against him.
Super good at the split push, super good at fighting once he's able to pick up one or two major items, and he's one of those champions that no matter how hard you shut him down, he seems to always be a terrible annoyance late into the game. Syndra being banned away, no surprise there, still expecting her to be picked up a lot. She's kind of become a priority pick in the bottom lane when it comes to World's meta. Either way, I'm still wouldn't be surprised if she was showing up in the mid lane in tonight's game. So taken off the table, still looking for the Akali, the Aatrox to maybe show up, the Karma to be potentially first pick by either one of these teams as Nidalee gets banned away, pinching that jungle pool just a little bit. So picks are kind of all over the place. Another thing we are missing is those ADCs. We have so much contention around champions like the Kai'Sa, the Xayah, things of that nature. So Rakan gets locked in for SPK Embers, favoring him over the Xayah and maybe daring Purple and Black to actually pick up that Xayah.
You see, they did this last week. They first picked the Rakan, and I don't know if they're trying to force the pick on the Xayah, because last time they played Kai'Sa and got that priority pick on that champion. Kai'Sa has been just incredibly powerful, and looks like Insurgency is going to grab that Kai'Sa and allow the Xayah to come through, which they don't actually have to pick up until second round here. Actually, no, it could be banned away, so pardon that. So this pick should probably be the Xayah coming through, otherwise that opens up a ban. Yes, and it is going to be the Xayah, Jarvan, Nautilus, Kai'Sa in the bot side. And most likely a jungle pick coming through right here in order to equalize the picks and bans so that nobody gets target banned out.
Yeah, back and forth. So big, strong bot lanes for both teams. A little bit more of that item dependency on that Kai'Sa Nautilus, but the Xayah and Rakan, as you talked about, super good early level 1. Jarvan strong as well. Another jungler going to be prioritized by Purple in Black, meaning we have the solo laners left. We saw this a lot last week. Seeing it again tonight might be once again the priority picking for teams as it comes throughout the entire evening, not just this game number 1. So we're most likely looking at pinching the top lane pools, but could also limit some of that mid lane. Tyrellian, we haven't seen really ever, and so there's a lot of spiciness coming out from what this player could play in the mid lane, as Cha-Hai really like some of those control mages, things like the Lysandra, I believe, was played last week, but just really strong, powerful mage champions. It's not a lot of, I don't think they played the Irelia in the mid lane, more of those APs, and so it's the top lane that's being pinched right now. The Urgot and the Mordekaiser are taken away.
Both champions that Urgot's kind of coming back into vogue again, whereas Mordekaiser, I hate the new Mordekaiser rework so much, just because I saw this the moment that I saw his ultimate drop, is that he can just point at somebody, point and click ultimate, and say, hey, you don't get to play for the next 7 seconds, you get to auto attack me. And if you do that to the enemy ADC during a team fight, it doesn't matter if you win the 1v1. You could be a 0-7 Mordekaiser, and still you get to effectively CC and remove the enemy's fed AD carry from the team fight for the next 7 seconds. And that's just that's just fairly overpowered, if you ask me. So good ban away. Nico and Aatrox are going to be the final bans coming through. 7 seconds, and it is going to be the Yorick. Unfortunately, it was on the other side. The Jax banned away by SPK Embers, and then the Yorick, seeing that pick, was of course open because of the Jax ban away, and it's going to be a Renekton hovered here. I don't know how that does into Yorick, to be honest. And we're kind of moving back and forth between Renekton and Camille, and it is going to be the Renekton locked in. I know that Renekton's a lot stronger than Yorick in the early game, and then Yorick outscales toward the late game. That's most of Renekton's matchups, though. So I'm looking to see the Renekton stomp Yorick early or risk falling off in toward the late game.
Well, a Renekton pairs so well with Jarvan. The slice and dice can get himself inside that Cataclysm if necessary, but then he doesn't mind being trapped in that pit as well because of that ultimate. He can get huge. Yorick is a fairly slow champion, and for much of the members of SPK Embers, they are a bit on that earlier side. They want to initiate fights. They want to fight with the Xayah, the Jarvan, always able to use that flag and drag to get in. Orianna post 6 is incredibly strong in big AoEs. You kind of have that classic Orianna throws the ball onto Jarvan, throws him into the middle of the fight, and they get going. Embers plays heavily around the neutral objectives such as the Drakes. They don't prioritize Rift Herald as much as I would expect, but they do prioritize those Drakes. They do prioritize the team fights, and so now with that Tristana being the last lock-in for purple and black, that means they have that mid-lane Tristana, something that we see a lot more in the World's play-in stage.
Yeah, interesting. Orianna has a very strong laning phase into Tristana, though, simply because Trist's auto attack range is very low. She does, of course, have all-in potential with the 4 stacks of explosive charge, and then you can, if you get 2 stacks onto somebody, you can jump on them with rocket jump, stomp them, get an auto off, and immediately jump out. It's a very dangerous way of harassing if you don't have vision on the jungler, but you can actually get a ton of damage off that way. Xayah, last second, changes over to teleport. So it's going to be teleport Xayah. Rakan running the heal here. That's means a lot more combat power to the Nautilus and the Kai'Sa if not actually manages to hit a hook at some point in this laning phase. However, it only really matters if it's onto the Xayah. The Rakan has so much mobility when paired with his opposite number. The Lovers Duo just makes Rakan so powerful in terms of being able to move around the map and move around a fight. So let's take a look at these matchups real quick now that everybody's locked in. Is there any particular matchup that you're looking towards that you think is going to be interesting or game-defining?
Well, the spiciest one is obviously that mid lane with Tristana coming in. Early game, not a super strong champion, obviously, can out-harass the Orianna from range and scales incredibly well into late game with that increased range. But there are those power points for Orianna, especially post 6, where as long as she's able to catch Tristana without that rocket jump and maybe even with that flash burn, there's pretty much no way for Tristana to straight up 1v1 Orianna in pure damage per second stats. Orianna is just going to be able to hit harder than Tristana in a burst scenario. However, if Orianna doesn't burst Tristana, the reverse can happen in that Tyrellian on this Trist can just turn around and auto, maybe even use that ultimate to push the Orianna away and then rocket jump in afterwards for the finish. And so there's a lot there that is about the mechanical playing of these players. Can they use what the champions have to outplay their opponent, not straight up just this champion out levels the other champion in pure damage.
The Insurgency and I Don't Jungle matchup is fairly interesting as well. Lee Sin, very, very early game sort of champion, akin to the Elise in terms of early game impact. Very powerful at that phase of the game, but Jarvan, all in all, brings a lot more to the table and is a lot easier to execute, whereas Lee Sin's flash kick or kick flash are very effective. Jarvan just brings so much CC to the table, both with the flag and drag as well as the Cataclysm. Of course, that's not going to have much effect over the Tristana, and if Kai'Sa's ultimate is down or is still up, then she can get out of the Cataclysm as well. All in all, this team is very well suited to get out of Jarvan's ultimate.
Yes.
It's even more effective against low mobility comps, but the Jarvan Orianna is what I've been looking at ever since it was picked up. The ball, just create the bounce house right there. And then, you have the Rakan ultimate on top of that, as well as Xayah. There's some serious wombo combo potential coming out from SPK Embers. However, I feel like this one's going to be largely up to laning phase. There is the potential Orianna should win the matchup in mid lane. Just has much more range control and defensive capabilities with both Dissonance and Command Protect. She can trade better into the Tristana. While Triss does still have some extended fight burst capability using the press the attack as well as the explosive charge. Mm-hmm. However, I think the mid lane should definitely go over toward the Orianna side. In top side, I'm expecting Renekton to be dominant early and then Yorick to take over late game. And that matchup's going to be determined a lot by jungle pressure. I think that if Jarvan goes toward that side, Yorick doesn't have any mobility. And he would have to expend his little cage in order. Jarvan would really want to come in when the cage was down optimally, but he can use flag and drag to escape it. So, all in all, I think that matchup in the early game is Renekton favored, but especially because of the mobility that Renekton has to use Slice and Dice to get out of the cage, that's where a lot of Yorick's harass damage comes from. And bot side,
really quickly, I just want to say we are moving into game number 1. SPK Embers taking on Purple and Black, or a different KSU, as it's Kansas State University's team. Now, quickly note, we do have currently going on in the Twitch chat a poll. You can use the !bet, !blue or red, and then a number which you can use with your points, !points, to check that out as well, and see how many points you have to bet on either one of these teams. And best of luck to you. It'll stay open for just a little bit longer, but in case there's a super early first blood, we don't want to make it go too late. But I agree with you, though, for the side of Embers, they want to start the game snowballing hard. This Jarvan is incredibly good at doing that. Would like to see him focus on this top lane, get this Renekton to something like a 3-0 start to the game. At that point, he should be set for most of, until about that 25-minute mark when Yorick will eventually always come online. And then from there, focus on this Orianna. Because bot lane, Xayah and Rakan, very safe, even if they lose the early game. They still have Rakan's mobility. They still have Xayah's Feather Storm, even though it did get nerfed on the cooldown. They still have those escape options, and so the bot lane for the side of Embers can kind of be ignored by the jungler, at least until the laning phase is over.
Mm-hmm. So, who do you think's going to win the game?
I still think Embers is going to win. I've seen them too many times. Obviously, Kansas State University are a new team. We haven't seen what they're capable of. This Tristana in the mid is a big question mark for us. And the good side of things, we want to see this Tristana do well. But I've seen Embers pull themselves out of gold deficits, which is so hard to do in the Midweight Scrim gym. I've seen them play around team fights. They're generally speaking incredibly clean. And they always have one player, and that player can change who they carry the game through. Sometimes it's Hims, sometimes it's Cha, sometimes it's Razel.
Yeah, the engage in the early game right here. Yarg taking a huge amount of damage, not quite level 2 for the escape, and that's going to give the level 2 over to Kyler G, who's going to go for the root. They
found that root onto him. So, that's some actually early damage as well from the Kai'Sa, leveling up that Void Seeker to get that extra poke down. And that is the punish of a Nautilus into Rakan. Because they picked up that Nautilus, every time Rakan jumps in, if Nautilus is in range, he just hits him with the auto attack, roots him in place. There's no easy escape for him to shield hop out to that Xayah, and he was level 1, so he had to walk away. He didn't have the easy escape. At level 3, it'll be a little bit easier for him, but level 1, fantastic punish for Purple and Black, forcing them to drink so many potions in the bottom lane.
Yeah, and this I Don't Jungle is spotted out on a ward here, so that's going to draw the attention of Insurgency here for the counter gank. Orianna already blew Flash as well as Barrier in a small fight that we didn't quite see on screen. That being said, fortunately, I Don't Jungle's going to back off rather than get caught in that counter gank, which could have been disastrous for Embers. Right now, they are down a Flash in the mid lane, and as well as a secondary summoner spell. However, not the end of the world. The all-in, though, Wow.
Yeah, Tyraelian forcing the Orianna just to get low health in that mid lane. No more potions, so Chop may need to be thinking about recalling the near future. However, there is a Jarvan coming around as well, so they could try to two-man gank this Tristana. She still has flash available, though, so it is very risky. In the end, it's going to be Orianna recalling first. Still even with this Tristana in CS, and should be able to get back to lane before that wave that the Tristana will be pushing completely depletes.
Yeah, and the thing is, well, actually, yeah, Orianna is down a good bit of CS at the moment and only gets the Amp Tome rather than the Ideal back right there. She would want the Lost Chapter if possible. However, I'm surprised to see that Ori is not throwing back any spells when Tristana goes in. Throw forward the attack, the command attack, and Dissonance Insurgency, also stealing away a little bit of a camp right here, going to, yes, leave one of those Raptors up.
Nice trading by Serazel in the top lane, also to avoid the little bit of a trap by Mediocre Hats. He's got himself a nice top hat on, so I don't think his hat this game's that mediocre. I think it's pretty fancy in that top lane, but just good trading by Serazel, staying even in farm against the Yorick. We'd like to see him actually taking a lead, but a lot of those trades, the healing that Mediocre Hats has had with the Corrupting Potion has just been too difficult to deal with. Here comes that Jarvan, Flag and Drag in the mid lane, forces out the flash, so Tyraelian is able to hop away, or just escape with that flash for now.
Yeah, you remember what I was saying, that the harass method using the rocket jump is very effective. However, it can be very dangerous as well. Blowing that rocket jump is kind of one of the reasons that Tristana is a safer pick as an ADC in mid lane, because she has that free mobility. It's a long range and it can buffer through CC. All in all, very powerful skill, but blowing it offensively when you don't have vision on the jungler means that you can very easily be punished and forced to flash, as we just saw in the mid lane.
So Flash being down, may have to think about playing a little bit safer. A nice 10 CS lead over Orianna, though. Tried a bit of trouble. Needs to figure out how to pair with this Jarvan to actually get something back. But it's a Drake started up by Purple and Black's jungler, Insurgency. Gonna be caught out by Yarg, the Rakan. Kind of just dropping by, saying hi, seeing him there. Backs away as the Nautilus and Kai'Sa both roam in. And it looks like Lee Sin will give up the Mountain Drake for now, but he might return in a moment, as they do have that control ward covering the Drake pit.
Yeah, yeah, but right now they've been spotted out, and they know that the sneak was attempted there, so it shouldn't happen. They shouldn't be caught off guard a second time right now. And yeah, Lee Sin has just entirely given that up, is moving toward his Raptor camp. So very good roam by Yarg in order to spot that out and keep them from losing an early Drake for free.
That early Drake, it would be super nice to have on the Tristana once she's able to actually get to a turret, tear down those plates. Drakes and Tristanas work so well together, or Mountain Drake specifically. But they also have that Kai'Sa. They got a double ADC composition at the moment, though. That's going to be mid lane Shockwave used. So they got to fight to the top side now as the sun comes through onto Mediocre Hats. Lunecta's trying to chase forward. He clears the wall, but Mediocre Hats, 300 health, healing up with the Corrupting Potion. Going to be able to survive for now. I don't think we're going to get a turret dive as Insurgency lands the Q. The Sonic Wave, will he follow up? Could be a 2v2 fight. The Drake is pulled off from Ember's bot lane, so they will not be fighting for it. No first blood used just yet. Yeah,
the Tristana also roaming, but at incredibly low health. And you remember what I was saying about the burst damage discrepancy between this Orianna and the Tristana. Trist now trying to use that rocket jump offensively, got caught out by Orianna's ultimate, and ended up losing a huge amount of health. And I don't jungle over the wall.
There he goes, Flag and Drag, smites as well, gets first blood. Orianna unable to even get an assist. Now in the bot lane, they're going to see if they can maybe find something back. However, Nautilus misses the hook, so that'll all stop there. But yeah, good from I Don't Jungle. I was expecting him to try to hit 6 before making another play in that mid lane, but he says, level 5, I've got Smite, why not? Free kill under the turret.
Yep. Tristana overstaying, no wards in the jungle, gets punished for it. and goes down for first blood. Despite the advantage she had accrued for herself in mid lane, now going to be mostly lost.
Razel in trouble. He's running away from that Yorick. However, the Maiden of the Mist was called, dropping him incredibly low. We'll see if he can actually make the escape as Mediocre Hats is on the chase. That Q not going to find him. He's got the slow. The Ghosties jump, and he will go down. Mediocre Hats taking away a kill in the top lane. 3 members for both teams in this bot lane. Mid lane from the side of Purple and Black, getting some poke down onto Yarg. But we'll back away, head back to the mid lane.
Yep, and in the top side, that's really not what you want to see, considering that matchup doesn't get any more friendly for the Renekton as the game goes on. Razel forced to blow the teleport in order not to fall further behind there. And Jungle is on this side looking to gank the bot lane.
It's difficult.
Going to move back.
Yeah, it's difficult because they don't know that they have full ward coverage. There's the control ward from the side of Purple and Black and the brush in the river, so it's difficult for him to get in. He does have that ultimate now. Both Lee Sin and the Jarvan actually have their ultimates available. Mountain Drake going to be started up by Purple and Black. We'll see if Insurgency and Tyrellian can actually pick it up, as there is an Orianna moving down. Yark goes out that ward. They get a little bit of vision, knowing the Mountain Drake is currently the target from the side of Purple and Black. Nautilus trying to do what he can to push the members of Embers away. Mountain Drake being drawn out into the river. 1200 health. Lee Sin trying to go and burst it down. J4 over the wall, but it's too late. Mountain Drake's to Purple and Black, and now the Rakan's engaging. Jarvan and Cataclysm locking up the members. The Kaisa will take the ultimate to try to chase out J4, but only meet her own death. Double kill now on him. They're looking for Tyrellian next and should be able to pick it up. J4 simply baiting the Tristana to stick around, and that is 3 quick kills. 3 quick kills for Embers in the river.
Yeah, and for a Mountain Drake, really wasn't worth it. You've got to be very respectful of a team composition like this that just loves team fighting. Hims and Yarg in the bot side, 2 team fight-oriented champions. Very deadly in their own right, but combo that with the Jarvan and the Orianna ultimate, catching 3 members and just ending the fight before it began. It was just cleanup from that point on.
Yeah, so nice, especially with that Xayah having that teleport, able to get back to lane to position for that fight very quickly. And that's the thing to respect with Embers. Their collapse is incredibly good. Now, they didn't fight that fight with Razel. He was sitting in that top lane, continuing to babysit that turret. He's been able to keep all 5 plates up there, so despite York taking his own solo kill in that lane, he really hasn't gained more than some farm. And the Renekton has actually picked up a 20 CS lead over him. They're trying to catch out that Lee Sin. Insurgency is caught. He fails the flash over the wall. He will go down. He's got nothing to say for himself. The Elder Drake going to be targeted at the moment by Embers. They should be able to pick this one up. They are seen, though, the Scrying Plant. Tyrellian's coming on in. The Rift Herald is so low, down to 1,000 health. There's the Smite available for Jungle. Can he actually take it down in time? The York is going to be targeted. Mediocre Hats dropping low because Hims has roamed all the way into the top lane. Rift Herald will be going over to... I actually missed who got it. It is the Jarvan. Oh, he was able to grab it for himself, as well as that Yorick kill. Mediocre Hats going down, and Embers are just putting a statement game on in game number 1, dropping the Rift Herald in the mid lane.
Yeah, Rift Herald dropping in the mid lane, and that's going to be a ton of plates there as well. Meanwhile, Hims in the top side taking down those. Shelly's going to get a charge, knock down 3 plates immediately, and then I think it's just going to be more 3v2 in the mid lane, but with Kyler G wandering in, they're going to have to give that up. But nobody is answering the Xayah, who is free pushing on the top side, getting so much gold, just free money going straight into her pockets, and already at 3-0 on this champion is so scary.
Yarg, oh, Insurgency misses the Sonic Wave while he was standing still. Rakan just walking away. In the meantime, mid lane, Tristana hopping forward once again, aggressively looking to trade onto the Orianna, and only gets about half health because Orianna's shield is starting to do work, as she was able to pick up that lost chapter for herself and has a tier 2 boots to be able to make sure with those ninja tabbies to deal with the AD of this Tristana a little bit better.
And the bot lane has swapped onto the top side. Mediocre Hats in the bot lane up against his opposite number right now. But the slow rotation there cost them 3 turret plates in the top lane, whereas they only got 1 on the bot side. So substantial advantage. And all of that money went onto Hims' solo gold. So this Xayah is absolutely huge at the moment.
Yeah, it's a 4,000 gold lead. If we check the gold graphs very quickly, about 1.5 of that is on the Xayah. So definitely happy. Does still need to back to actually make use of that. Shockwave in the mid lane. Going to completely miss on the Orianna. And now Chahai has to run away, hoping to maybe kill Tyrellian before going down to Lee Sin, throwing out that kick to make sure he's able to land the Sonic Wave. Finishes her off in a quick style. Yarg was rotating towards that mid lane to try to help out, but too late there. Heads back to that top lane. In the meantime, Jarvan now solo against these two. Flags and drags on Insurgency. Cataclysm as well. He'll get the kill. He's got the red buff. He can double kill Tyrellian. Trying to hop away, but the spear comes through. A double for I Don't Jungle solo in the mid lane.
Okay. 2v1. They said it was impossible, but I Don't Jungle makes it happen. Double buffs. Flag and drag. He even missed the first one. He got all the damage off, but didn't actually get the knockup. Didn't matter. Lee Sin was just too squishy, and the Chain Vest plus Ninja Tabby comes in clutch. So much armor over that Warrior enchant, giving him enough damage to burst them down, but still enough tankiness and resilience against these both AD champions, neither of which have really completed a substantial item, except the Lee Sin, who is sitting on the Warrior enchant, but the 4-0 Jarvan will have his way in that mid lane.
Yeah, he is really, really happy with how that worked out. Renekton to swap back into the top lane so that the pressure of the Xayah and Rakan can be taken to the Drake. This next Drake, an Infernal Drake, should be able to be picked up. We'll see if Insurgency can steal away. No, he is too late. The smite comes down for the J4. The Rakan speeding forward, looking for potentially jumping on this Lee Sin. They're going to back away as he was able to make it to that turret in time. But this is the rotation of Embers. They send Renekton to the bot lane so that the bottom lane, Xayah and Rakan, can help to pick up the Rift Herald. Then they swap once again so they can now pick up the Infernal Drake for themselves. Razel probably going to die in the top lane. Throws out that ultimate, just delaying a little bit of time. Kyler just able to make out of that turret range. But they were trading top lane turret for bot lane turret. One of these teams will be able to pick it up first, and I think it's going to be Embers. They got first turret as well. Top lane can't even secure that turret. Razel still gets the kill on the Nautilus because of the turret shot coming through. What on earth? Okay, sorry, Kyler G. That was just unfortunate.
Yeah, that really sucks. They had gotten out clean with the kill underneath the turret, but that gives one back over, plus the XP to Sir Razel. Yarg. Oh! I've never seen that interaction before, but Yarg using the Grand Entrance. Wow, okay. That's a lot of damage.
Yep.
Yeah, but Yarg using the Grand Entrance to buffer the knockup for after Insurgency arrived. So as soon as the resonating strike connects, he gets knocked up. And had there been another member there, then he definitely would have gone down. Hymns in an incredibly strong place once again, still 3-0, but a 16 CS up on his opposite number, as well as 3 kills, 500 gold bounty because he got gold on both the top lane turret and the bot lane turret going down, and now it looks like they're rotating into the mid lane to drop this tower as well.
And they are growing the gold. Now, it's been a couple of minutes, I believe about 5 minutes since we last checked into the gold. It was 4,000 fairly steadily until the Jarvan play. And now with that mid lane turret going down as well, it has expanded to a 5,000 gold lead and a little bit more. So they're at least not sitting even. They're continuing to grow it. But you still have to be keeping in mind, there is a bit of a timer on this game. Eventually, Mediocre Hats will become a monster on this York. Eventually, this Kai'Sa will be able to one-shot squishy members like that Orianna if she isn't fast on her spells like the shield. And so it is on SPK Embers to keep pushing this game, keep shoving it, continue this aggressive play. Baron's going to be up in about a minute and a half, and we've got ourselves a pause to break this game down a little bit further.
Yeah, and the thing is, normally I would agree with you on that point with the Tristana and the York, but the thing is you got to take a look at the itemization from the... I love it. I love seeing people play a little bit more respectfully with a lead. You're like, oh, I'm so far in the lead, I'm gonna build only damage, right? Well, look at Orianna's stat line right here. She's got 2 cloth armors and Ninja Tabby. There's no way that Tristana being that far behind is going to be able to punch through the Orianna, because Ori still got a Luden's Echo and is going to be doing crazy damage. Once Orianna finishes what's that called? Zonia's hourglass that she's building towards right now. She'll be able just to Zonia's the explosive shot from Tristana, and that's like 80% of her burst damage right there, the 4 stacks of explosive charge. So really the only timer on the game is the Yorick in the top side, but all you have to do is exactly what Embers have been doing, is rotating their bot lane to match the Yorick, and I don't care how strong Yorick gets, he's not going to be able to deal with this incredibly fed Xayah, who's about to complete her 2nd item, and Yorick isn't even on his 1st yet.
Yeah, still looking for that Trinity Force. Now, there was a potential collapse looking for Sir Razel, but they pinged immediately the fact that so many members of Embers are rotating into that top side, and that was actually without much vision. If you're looking at the wards in this top side, Purple and Black didn't have a whole lot of vision, but they simply had a good map sense, as it is going to be I Don't Jungle, jungling his way to the top lane. Nice Cataclysm to secure the kill onto Yorick, and that potential scaling lane of the Yorick shut down for a little bit longer in this top lane. So Embers, full control over the map with a little bit of a fight coming up here in a moment. Nautilus is going to walk straight and root up Sir Razel. Lee Sin, does he actually want to take it? He does, and he tries to get a nice kick, but the GA on the Jarvan will bring himself right back up. Insurgency will drop Kyler G, having to walk away, but the Kite's got the killer instinct to go in for the Renekton. It's a 2v2. Nautilus doing what he can to CC and tank up the best he can for his team. Hooks the Rakan, but then Jarvan's got the spear for the Kaisa. They're looking for Yarg. They eventually will almost take down the Rakan, but he gets the heal with the Gleaming Quill. Double kill for I Don't Jungle in the top lane. Tyrellion's now going to come up, see what the Tristana can do. Throws down the rocket, takes out Rakan. Nice little shot back, pushing I Don't Jungle away. He's waiting for the cooldowns. He's got the blue buff. He's not going to dive in onto the Tristana with the flag and drag.
Yeah, but meanwhile in mid lane, yes, there was a little bit of a kill in the top side, but it wasn't onto the fed Jarvan. It was onto the not so fed support, and meanwhile in mid lane another turret falls, and that's 3 for 1 and an extended 3 for 2 in the top lane, plus a mid lane turret. I Don't Jungle. Insurgency's looking for something here, but I don't think he wants this. It's an 8-0 Jarvan in the top side versus a 1-4 Lee Sin. Probably not going to be the best matchup.
Yeah, that's a big risk, and he did walk away with his life as Jarvan was more interested in escaping with all the gold that he has currently for himself to spend 2,300 in his inventory, as he's going to go ahead and grab that Scuttle Crab in the river around the Baron, make sure they have vision just as the Baron shows up. They get the Scuttle Crab control ward from the Rakan as well. Grab the Windrake on the bottom side of the map. They are just in such full control, and yet again, this is something we have to compliment Embers on, is they pick their carries and they stick to their guns on those carries. It's a 8-0 Jarvan, a 3-0 Xayah. Everyone else only has assists or maybe 1 kill. And that is huge, is being able to play around these champions and say, oh, look, you're doing super well. Let's pour a ton of gold into you, get you insanely far ahead. Everyone else will take the heat for it. The Renekton in the top lane dying 3 times, dealing with a lot of pressure with multiple times people trying to gank him up there. But that is what they sacrifice to be able to have these laners so far ahead.
Definitely. And I'm just waiting for another team fight. They've been kind of individually roaming around, but Ember's comp is just so strongly weighted toward the big team fight that I want to see them group for Baron. It's 21 minutes into the game, granted, but I want to see them start positioning some control wards in the Baron pit and then force the enemy team to come to them, because Purple and Black cannot fight them 1v1, 3v3, or especially not 5v5. The more Embers members get into a fight, that rhymed. The more Embers members get into a fight, the more dangerous it becomes for Purple and Black.
Alright, well, Yarg is doing the job of clearing up that vision. The Renekton was in that bot lane, sitting in a brush, maybe helping find somebody wandering his way through. Unfortunately, Insurgency a little bit late, as the Renekton already headed out. And he does have that TP available. They actually have TPs on both the Xayah and the Renekton, so Embers definitely quickly rotate if they want to bring all 5 members and quick burn that Baron down. But I'm expecting them to be looking mostly for this Lee Sin, trying to get a pick off on him, or maybe the Tristana. Ooh, good chunking there from the Orianna. Pick someone off on the enemy team to then force that Baron fight.
Yeah, if she'd thrown the ultimate right there, then I believe that would have been the Tristana going down. Hold on.
Khan's gonna go ahead and start that ultimate. Nice kickback from that Lee Sin, delaying the fight a little bit longer. Nas has knocked out the Rakan, but Oriana decimates everyone. The shockwave onto 3 members, cataclysm on Jarvan, wipes them as well. The Xayah burns through them all. They got the jungler, they got the Kai'Sa. They're straight onto the Baron.
Yep, and that's exactly what I wanted to see, Jake. Move up the ward line, force them to come to you, and then this Oriana Shockwave and the Jarvan combo with the Blade Collar coming through right at the end. Cerazel's like, nope, I'm getting out of dodge, guys. Mediocre Hats runs behind, but it doesn't matter what's happening on that side of the map because the Baron has fallen and SPK Embers are in charge of this match.
They even got it on the Rakan, who died earlier as he was up in time for that Baron. Razel throwing out that ultimate, trying to survive a little bit longer. He will drop, but the shirt shot takes down Tyrellian. Unfortunately, it's only an execute, but it decreases the pushing power of purple and black, so the York actually backs away, hits that recall button because they know they have to defend against this Baron push.
Definitely. Though, I think the York could have stayed around for 1 or 2 more auto attacks onto the bot lane turret, chunking it down using his Q, which does substantial damage to turrets, especially once a Decimate proc comes through.
We are the 23.5-minute mark with a 10,000 gold lead on SPK Embers. They know how to escalate these games. They know how to play around their team's strengths. And they're using this ball comp with the Jarvan in a beautiful synergy. Jarvan going over the wall. He's got that GA still up and available. He might be in a bit of trouble with Rakan's going over as well. The quickness only going to make sure the engage happens on 1. The shockwave only landing onto the Nautilus. So they've used a ton of ultimates, only taking down that Lee Sin. The flash force out by Cerazel. He's backing away, but the Xayah's going in. Gets the double kill on the Nautilus as well. And they're focusing on the 1 turret in that mid lane inhibitor. Excuse me, they're going on the champions instead. Just wipe the enemy team off of the Rift. It's the York who has to flash away to the base as the rest of the team is wiped. The middle inhibitor is going to be gone.
Yeah, SPK Embers take over. They get a small advantage. Then they turn it into a Baron, win a team fight, and then they just destroy the entire base. 24 minutes start to finish. SPK Embers is looking hot tonight.
The Phoenix has risen, and they are looking so good. Game number 1 cleaned up, and honestly, while there was a number of kills that Purple and Black was able to claim, there really wasn't that many options for them to actually really get into the game. Like, you look at it and go, okay, how many mistakes did Purple and Black actually, or how many mistakes did Embers make that game? Really, not many mistakes to talk about.
Yeah, and in the mid lane, there was a substantial advantage for the Tristana in the early game. However, it got turned around because I Don't Jungle saw that his laner was struggling, focused a little bit of attention there because Tristana was constantly blowing her escape in order to harass, and in doing so, opened herself up, blew the flash, and then as soon, and a great itemization from the Oriana as well, instead of prioritizing damage, picks up a Ninja Tabby early and then prioritizes more armor afterwards in order so that she wasn't getting chunked out by the Tristana's burst combo, and then that lane turned around slowly. Hims and Yarg took a couple of bad trades in the early game, but that was entirely cleaned up by the time of the first team fight. But really, the main problem that happened for Purple and Black was that Mountain Drake fight right there. They forced a fight when they didn't have enough members there. Yes, they had priority. Yes, they had advantage around the Drake at the time, and they did get it, but at what cost? They got 3 members wiped. You always have to look at who you're playing against and what their team comp is designed to do, and this is definitely a 5-man death ball composition if I've ever seen one. So forcing a fight around a Drake, it would be better just to give up the Mountain Drake rather than get wiped like they did, and that's what set the tone for the rest of the game.
And let's think very quickly about how many times Embers had individual members that were pushing into the river or beyond by themselves. There was the Renekton late into the game where he was ready to teleport in for a Baron fight, and he had that teleport up. There was Rakan going into the river occasionally to get some wards, but he's got some fast escape mechanics and can get out. And that's about it. Against a pick composition of the Lee Sin, the Tristana, the Nautilus, they really never gave them the opportunity to pick someone off. Even when the vision wasn't in their favor, they didn't make risky plays or go running on in looking to try to assassinate one individual member of the enemy team, despite how far ahead they were. They played around the fact that they were a grouping team power, and they always were grouping when looking to fight, and when they weren't grouped, they didn't fight. And that is huge. And one of the reasons why Embers continues to show up so strong in these events is because they play to those strengths. If you're not grouped, don't fight. If you're grouped, look to get kills.
Definitely, Jake. All in all, a very satisfying match to watch and an incredibly good showing from SPK Embers for the second week in a row.
But we are going to take a very quick break and be right back for game number 2. Don't go anywhere, as we are going to be swapping to the opposite side of the bracket and maybe checking in with Kent State University if they were able to win their first side of the bracket. We'll see you in just a moment.